Exit 12 is not affiliated with any 12-step group or outside organizations. The purpose of this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. No person or organization is receiving any monetary gain from the recording, production, or distribution of this podcast. All hosts and guests are participating of their own free will and are only sharing their own personal experiences. Subjects discussed in this podcast may be triggering for some individuals. Listeners' discretion advised. Hello, welcome to Exit 12. I am your host, Brian Fields, and as always, I'm joined by my co-hosts, Michelle Parker and Isaac Smolden.
We here. We back.
We back in here. And again, we are rejoined by our awesome guest, Valerie.
Yeah, like rejoined more than anyone would even know.
Yeah.
Because like for part 2
Right.
of this step 8 and 9, kind of combining them but still doing 2 episodes thing, we're going to like make some dumb joke about how, we're all wearing the same clothes as last episode. But we're not going to be.
We're
actually going to be wearing, I think, all different clothes.
Yeah.
It's going to be.
I would hope so.
Don't listen to
that was
future
like
us.
2 weeks ago.
What? No, it wasn't. So, yeah, just hang with us.
Yeah, hang
it's
with
gonna
us.
be
We're
2
getting it together.
Fantastic episodes.
Some of us are sicker than others. That's just what it comes down to.
Yeah, you know what? And we've made our amends for that, and we're moving on.
Yeah.
Moving
Yeah.
on.
So,
All right.
yeah, we're ready to talk about step 8 and 9.
Let's do it.
Great.
Real quick, if you are in need of homeless or at-risk youth services, you can come down to my house at 300 North Willow Street, downtown Wasilla. Also, residential services are now open. Come down or give us a call at 907-373-4357.
Yeah, and we're hiring. And if you want more information about all our programs and the new construction, our annual community advisory meeting is March 28th at noon. So if you want to find out from all the staff and clients, all the great things that are happening here, 12 to 2, free lunch. Come join us, please. We'd love to have you here.
Okay.
So,
all right. So we are talking about step 8 and 9. We're going to focus really on step 8 here, which is made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all.
yes.
Did you make your list, Isaac?
Well,
Do you need to make one?
man, so for the 3rd time now, I'm going to practice making amends to you because the example that we have is when I broke your back truck windshield.
Oh, yeah.
Like a month ago at this point now.
Yeah. That new window's looking real nice. Too.
I bet it is.
Stickerless, too.
Stickerless, shiny, new, tinted. So
Heated.
so when I broke your window, I had to make amends to you, and that involved 2 things, really. Well, I guess 3 things, right? Because first I have to, and the list
did you
portion.
really make an amends? Because I feel like I haven't got to tell you any other things that you've done to irritate me.
You didn't ask him?
I haven't got to be like, this is what I want you to do to make it right. You just
I thought that
this
I
is
made
what
amends,
I
but apparently
did
the
make
amends
it
was sucky amends. I need to make better amends.
Be
So
better.
be better. Be better.
So I find out that I thought, okay, so I step 8, right? I identify that I have wronged Brian.
Right.
I broke Brian's windshield.
Yes.
And then step 9, I then go to Brian. I say, hey, Brian, I have wronged you. I broke your windshield. I say, Brian, what can I do to make it better? Which, paying for Brian's windshield. That's what I did. But there's this whole other aspect.
But I would have added on to that and said, Isaac, I would really appreciate it when you're dealing with other people's property that you take a little bit more, account for somebody else's stuff.
Right. So there's this whole other portion to these steps that I was informed about where apparently not only do I make amends for that incident, but now I'm also asking, what else could I be doing better, Brian?
Oh, man.
And why don't you tell me? So
I don't know if this is the place. I want to do this right now.
So let's take it off of me for a second. That's a lot. And describe for me the process of the list making, because I'm hearing something about flashcards.
Yeah.
That sounds...
Yeah.
It's like when you're doing your times tables and you're learning, or you're practicing for a quiz, but with everything that you've done to wrong someone.
Yeah. For sure.
Walk me through this.
Yeah. My sponsor had me do flashcards. So I made a list of everyone that I had to make amends to. Either I had resentments towards or they had resentments towards me because I was a bad person back then.
So they take all those step 4, I'm harboring resentments for this person.
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh, actually, that's more homework. That's a secret surprise. That's going to help us later. And now it's step 8.
Right.
And
yeah. So
turns out
what my sponsor had me do is get flashcards and put at least one person on the flashcard. And then on the top corner, she had me do if I'm willing and if I'm able. And if I have both, I can flip it around and write down that amends to them and what I need to make that amends for. And it was like, not saying a specific situation like the windshield or anything, but it because, I did for one person, like my son's dad, like there was a lot of things that I did towards him. But it goes back to your character defects. I was manipulative, I was dishonest, and I was disrespectful, and I showed up in this way, and I want to genuinely apologize to you for those things and take account for those things. And then she had me ask at the end of it, is there anything else that you need to talk to me about, which Brian is mentioning? And then, is there anything else I can make to make it right? And so that's how my sponsor had me do it.
Yeah.
just, here's every way I screwed up. Anything you'd like to add? Questions, comments?
No and then. No and then. Yeah. But it's different, really. Like, it's sponsorship groups that kind of, which is interesting to me. And I won't get into my thoughts and beliefs on that portion, but it is different based on who is sponsoring you. Because I have had sponsors tell me to just take my list that I've made on step 4 and 5 and use that list and add to as I see fit, or take from that list and create a separate list that doesn't have all the Brian, you're selfish, self-centered, and blah, 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 blah.
Okay, right.
So
that is kind of where, but this, again, another important reason why you have a sponsor, because this is not something it feels like that it's tough to walk through this, period, but walking through this by yourself is like,
yeah.
I don't know how that's possible.
Yeah, literally. Like, if you want someone to forgive you, you're not supposed to ask for forgiveness, right? And so, like, if you're making amends to someone, like, you can't, like, ask them for forgiveness. Sorry, I can't speak.
So, amends does not equal forgiveness.
No, that's solely up to them.
That's solely up to the other person, because, like, for example, like, when I was roommates with Michelle.
Yeah.
I asked her to speak, and she came to my home group, and I, found it fit to kind of like go to her and be like, hey, like, I was kind of, I was going to say it, but I was kind of aggressive, and
whatever could you mean?
I don't know, Brian. Why don't you tell me about that? No, so, like, I was aggressive, and I was just, like, not the person that I needed to be, and I was in early recovery, I didn't act accordingly, and I showed up really naive and immature and aggressive, and I had to make amends for that. And then, from there, it stemmed from her making amends to me. And, like, we used to not talk to each other. Both of us were blocked. Like, we had each other blocked. It was, like, a whole thing.
Yeah.
And because...
Drama.
Yeah. Like, really, like, we both were in my house transitional housing. And it's a difficult place to be because you're living with other people. And especially like if you just came from another place.
I mean, I came from
It's
jail.
also a great.
Yeah.
It's also a great place to be. If you want
So
to.
yeah, we want you to be there.
It is a
It's
great
a great place.
Yeah, it's a great place to be. But like if you grew up in a place that was unstructured and then moving into a setting like that
Right.
where it's like super structured.
Yeah,
and
I
you
came
have,
from the streets.
yeah, all these rules and everything that you have to abide by to live
I'm
there. Like it's so hard.
I just like imagine Will Ferrell. I came from the streets.
I came from the streets, bro. Oh my god.
Gator needs his gas.
Oh my god.
You can cut that if you want. Sorry, I apologize. I could not
great.
contain that, dude. I was like trying to listen, and it was just like,
oh my god.
So anyway,
We don't need to
Amends.
cut that. That needs to stay.
Yeah. But yeah, like Valerie said, you know, she was on my resentment list because we got into an argument one night and like we just didn't want anything to do with each other. But then like, you know, as time went on and we moved out and we got our stuff together and everything, like then she reached out and had me speak at her home group or her old home group.
Mm-hmm.
And then we both thought it was a perfect opportunity, like
To
I
make
was-
amends.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was wondering if I could make amends to you. She's like, I was wondering the same thing. Oh my god.
that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. What do you guys think makes it difficult about making the list or making your flashcards, or like what is like the hard part in that?
So like the hard part for me was like making a list and like so like my family I was a foster kid, so like going to my family and making amends to them who were like people I haven't talked to in like 10-15 years was like really difficult. And I'm like, do I want to put these people on the list? But then I'm like, I still have resentment. So if I still have resentment and if I still have negative emotion and it's keeping me from being happy and joyous free, then I do need to make those amends. It was really hard for me because then like I'm foreshadowing a little bit, you know, except for when it would do so to injure them or others. There was a lot of others that would injure or it would injure myself, foreshadowing. And so that made it difficult for me. And then also like there's just some like old sponsors like I've had multiple sponsors now and I'm like, do I really like, is that going to negatively like what if the amends goes bad and like what if, you know, like my place in my home group and that, you know, like the judgment from other people because I have to make amends and like it's kind of like a big deal and people talk about it all the time. And so that was really hard for me when I was making my list, is just like the choice of people. But that's not up to me, that's up to my sponsor, whether or not I make those amends.
Right. So this is again another spot where you're really leaning on your sponsor to like, hey, and this, you know, because I feel like that temptation or, you know, to default to, oh, well, you know, maybe I shouldn't make amends. It's going to hurt myself or others.
Yeah,
and
it's
your
an easy
sponsor
way
can
out.
help
Yeah,
you.
you
Right.
have
Your
to
sponsor can help you make that
You have to
determination.
have that discernment and then also like with your higher power too.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's really a touchy subject sometimes with
Well,
a lot of
like,
people.
When I made amends to Michelle, like I didn't even like, I talked to my sponsor about it and I was like, I really don't want to invite her, even though like I think she's got good recovery and like all these things, right? Like at that time before I, you know, made those amends, and we're friends now, so I can safely talk about it, you know what I mean? And
I can safely talk about how much I
safely talk about
despise
how much I
and
hated
question
you.
That's
you.
it, Valerie in the parking lot.
That's it. What's up? Okay. Anyway, I'm from the streets.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, before that though, like I had some like, well, maybe she won't come speak because, you know, we had this resentment with each other, you know what I mean? And it keeps you, making the list is super important because it is the first step from, not the first step, but it's like one of the first steps that gets you to a happiest and joyous and free life.
Yeah, towards like
the
healing
first process.
Yeah, right. And I think that is what's hard too, is and something that like kind of talks into the next question is, you know, at this point in your life, if you've been working the steps, you know, you might have gotten some new shiny things and you might have progressed in life.
Materialistic things.
My
and
car.
things and things might not be as bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As they were when you embarked on this journey. And so I know for me, it was like, well, why do I want to go back there, dude? Like, it's so much cooler up here. Yeah, you know what I mean? But what happens, and this happened to me where like I don't progress in my steps, right? And then what happens is I get uncomfortable because I feel that I'm living a life that is ungenuine and
not transparent.
Exactly, right? And then I'm living with a lie. You know what I mean? And I'm not taking accountability. So if you're new and you're concerned about going through the step and it's like, well, my life is great now. One, you're never cured from alcoholism or addiction. I think you can recover. There's a difference there though, right? Yeah. And it will get bad again.
Yeah. Because you're still an alcoholic in recovery.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't address it, it will get bad again.
Yeah.
Right. And then it's just like the irritable and discontentment of just life on life's terms. And, you know, that's another cliche that people say on life gets lifey, you know what I mean? And it's really hard to kind of go through life just having resentment towards people or just living in fear because like you want to have faith over fear. I just said all the cliches in one sentence. Yeah, but I think making the list is just part of the process, and it's the uncomfortability, and it's the, you know, the do I really want to do this, but you have to do it.
Right.
It's super important.
No.
Right.
Yeah. It's like, how honest do you want to get, you know? Like, do you really want to be free?
Right.
You know?
And so I want to kind of revert back to something that says in the big book, in AA, it says, and how it works is there's 3 indispensable things, and that's honesty, willingness, and
Open-mindedness.
Open-mindedness. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah,
Save me there. And that honesty and willingness is definitely where it definitely comes in this step, is just being open and honest, and also like having an open mind when it comes to 9, you know.
Yeah. Have you ever like really broke that down, like the how? So it's like how it works.
Yeah.
And so it's honesty, open-mindedness, and then if you break that down, the how. The H is the honesty. O is the open. So like I don't know if they did that intentionally, but if they didn't, like that's a cool little thing.
It was like 1930?
Yeah, maybe
34.
They didn't even have like AI that could have vision boarded that for them. They had to come up with it on their own.
No.
Yeah.
So you're, you know, we're going to talk more about the kind of like, hey, what does it look like when, you know, there's someone that maybe I'm not able to or shouldn't make amends to because of that harm, and some of the more nitty gritty of it. But when we're just kind of talking about the general process here and setting that up, you're making those amends, and you want to do right by that person that you're making amends to. You want to try to, you know, remedy that hurt or that animosity or that awkwardness as much as you can. But at the end of the day, well, I don't want to say that because it sounds selfish, and I don't want to be selfish and self-centered, but part of this making amends is really for you, right? Because once
yeah, I mean it is. It's like that life balance thing, right? Where it's like, you know, part of this is for me, and to clean up my side of the street, but really like some of this is for you, and I need to take that into account.
Right. Like I got to do this so that I can move on and work this and live this genuinely.
Yeah.
Because if I continue to harbor this resentment for you or continue to allow this to be here, like you said, you know, if you're not working it, it is going to get difficult.
Yeah.
And it's not going to.
And it's not pretty.
Yeah.
Being sober and crazy is the worst. I'm going to tell you that right now.
A dry drunk.
Dude,
Dry
it
drunk.
is
Been there, done
the
that.
worst.
Yeah.
Literally like the worst. Cause like, like I used to have an excuse, right? You know, I'm on methamphetamine. I am drinking too much, right? Like those are legitimate excuses. When I'm just like having mental breakdowns and panic attacks and I have no idea why, that's hard to process.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So-
like I even get to a certain point. Like I this past year, I realized that like if I'm not okay with myself, if I'm not sitting right in myself and my innards,
Your innards?
then I'm gonna start nitpicking everybody else. You know, it's gonna come back and it's gonna return, and I'm gonna start getting crazy again, and it's just I'm gonna end up in this toxic cycle again, and it's
Right. And once you end up in that toxic cycle, you know, what's keeping you from going back out?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So you got to do it.
You gotta do it.
Gotta get
do
it
it.
done.
Gotta do the
Do
thing.
it.
From the streets.
It's hard knocks, dog.
Well,
What you know about me, 211 crew?
What kind of day is it?
I don't know, it's a weird Tuesday, I think. I don't know.
that's okay. I guess, we're going to continue to talk about this.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler
I know
alert.
For a fact.
Step 9 is coming soon.
Step 9.
Yeah, we really continue this conversation that we already had previously on the next episode.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have any more critical points before we go back in time and continue the conversation?
What do you have to lose?
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 I mean,
You lost everything else.
Right? Literally. That's a good point.
Yeah.
does anyone have the step 8 passage pulled up that they can maybe lead us out with?
The 9-step
Is it not in there?
I don't think
you
so.
might be thinking about the 9-step promises.
I think you're thinking about the 9-step
I think we read that early, so I want to make sure that we have that portion in there. And if it's already in there, we can edit it out. That's okay.
Yeah.
We're doing it live.
Yeah.
We're doing it live. I don't know why I just did that. Please cut that. You don't have it yet? What are you doing over there, Michelle?
I'm on the 12.
You call yourself a 12-stepper.
Wow, that was pretty mean, Brian.
What about you?
Make amends.
I got it right here.
Okay.
All right,
Edit
ready?
all that out. Here's Brian.
If we are painstaking about this phase of our development, we will be amazed before we are halfway through. We are going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. We will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. We will comprehend the word serenity and we will know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experiences can benefit others. The feelings of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away. Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people and of economic insecurities will leave us. We will, what is going on right now?
Intuitively.
We will intuitively, it's really small. Maybe I'm getting old, dude. Holy cow. We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. We will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we cannot do for ourselves. Are these extravagant promises?
We think not.
I almost had it.
Normie.
I was just going to say, nah, bro.
They are being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. They will always materialize if we work for them.
No, that sounds...
Work.
That was a little cringy. It's fine.
It's fine. You know what? It's
You guys
okay.
are so negative.
Because that sounds
gosh.
great. That sounds great. So why not?
Can
right?
you tell that we're meeting goers?
Yeah, I can tell.
Yeah.
That's okay. It's a good thing.
It's a good thing.
So
All right.
why not?
We work our program. Why not?
Yeah. You
We
guys
think
are,
not.
We think not.
We think not. Work.
Work. Depending on willingness.
I'm done.
DOW. We'll see you next time.
Bye.